12. And our interview segment's brought to you by Marcus and Mack, voted best personal injury law firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a theater rat. So it is great to have some friends of mine from the Indiana Players here in the studio. They're talking about their upcoming production. So let's have everybody introduce themselves. But first off, I will introduce this fellow because I've worked with him so many times. John Henry Steelman. It's good to see you, John Henry. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Good to be here.
Good to be here. Good to see you, too. So this play is Murdered to Death. And from what I saw on the poster, it's kind of a pastiche of Agatha Christie, Miss Marple, Poirot stories, things like that.
Well, it's kind of a spoof on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really a hilarious comedy that's sort of framed around a murder mystery.
Okay. And you're on stage with this one?
Yes, I am.
What's your role?
Charles Craddock. Colonel Charles Craddock,
he's
retired.
The man goes into character just like that. I love it. Thank you. We'll get into some of the more of the characters and more of the story that you can tell as we go along. But let's introduce everybody else. So, you young lady, what is your name, please?
Hi, I'm Megan Cronin. I play Elizabeth Hartley Trumpington.
Megan, all right, thank you very much. And that it's all so British. All these three names. The gentleman in the glasses here.
Yeah, hey, I'm Sam Sherburne, and I'm playing Detective Pratt, who is...
Sergeant.
Watch it there. You're going down in rank pretty quick.
I know.
That's my job.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of... the joke is that he's like very incompetent and bumbling and says people's names wrong, falls down a lot.
So more Inspector Clouseau than Mr. Poirot.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly right, yeah.
And you, young lady?
I'm Bridget Waterhouse, and I play Constable Tompkins, sir.
Constable Tompkins. I almost want to break out my British accent, but I don't dare. So I'll throw it open to all of you. It was said that this is a parody of those classic mysteries of Agatha Christie's. So what's at the heart of this show? What's kind of the crutch of it? The murder of some major person in British standing or something along those lines, or is it something very minuscule? Whatever you can say.
Yeah, trying to figure out what we can tell you is...
Yeah, because we don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
So it is tough. But if you're a fan of Miss Marple or Poirot or any Agatha Christie, people would recognize some of those beats right away, right?
Sure, so everybody's kind of gathered at a country house or a country manor.
Take a step closer.
Yeah,
that microphone will not stab you.
So we're all gathered at like a country house, a country manor, and there's talk of, somebody being wealthy and an inheritance, and you sort of get everybody's different relationships, and then, somebody doesn't make it through the first act. I guess we could say that.
All right. That's kind of standard. Very reminiscent of And Then There Were None.
Sure. And then there were none, or The Mousetrap is like a very popular one that was a long-running play. That's one of the references.
Yeah, that's Mousetrap's one of the longest running. I think it's still running, isn't it? In England?
I believe that's right. I think
I'd have to double check that. So let's talk about the roles here. Megan, your role in this, were you one of the people that has come to the house?
I am this heiress who is mean.
Oh, gosh.
She's not nice, which is actually kind of a blast to do.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you having fun playing a villainous character?
Oh, it's so great.
Do you get a lot of your stress out that way?
Some of it.
It's amazing how refreshing it is.
Yeah.
So what's your experience with the Players? What other shows have you done?
I was in my first show with the Players was last year, was Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, wow.
I initially signed on to do the costumes for it, but we had someone drop out and then another person drop out.
Oh.
And so I ended up with those two roles.
Pardon the Shakespeare reference. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. In that case, that happened to you.
And then
gosh.
Yeah, then I tried to do Puffs, but that got canceled in the fall. And I was just the director and one of the actors in Midsummer Night's Dream.
And I was so jealous because I had been in that in the 90s playing Puck, and I was telling the people this earlier. I had a blast with that, and your cast probably had a blast with it too.
We had so much fun.
Excellent.
So much fun. fun.
John Henry, step back up here and a little bit more about your character.
Okay, Charles Craddock. He's got kind of a wry sense of humor. The play is really hilarious. There are lots of really funny lines, but most of the time the characters saying the line don't really mean them to be funny.
Yeah.
Whereas Charles, he intends the jokes that he cracks.
The jokes that he says.
Yes. He's, and the other thing I'm really enjoying about playing the Colonel is, unlike any other character in the play, he has moments where he's really very self-reflective, really thinking back and regretting choices that he's made and that sort of thing in a way that nobody else in the play does. So I find that fun.
So it's really interesting to see the wheels turn in that case, to see the mind working of that character. That's great. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's got to be good to play one of those types of characters where you get to have those moments to see the wheels turn.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, and of course. I mentioned to them, I'll mention to you, you've been with the Players a long time. I mean, you go back, how many years now with the Players?
30. My first play with them was in 94.
Wow, excellent. Was that Midsummer Night's Dream back then, or was that?
No. The first show I did with the Players was Finian's Rainbow.
That's right. I remember actually going to watch it. I remember seeing the show. That was one of the first theater experiences my parents took me to. So that is pretty awesome. Thank you very much for allowing me to share that anyway. Sam, maybe you can step up. Tell us about your character a little bit more in depth.
Right. So it's the detective or the inspector or the sergeant. I think the given circumstances are that there's a flu or something going around. So he's been kind of promoted at the last minute, which is sort of an explanation for his incompetence. I mean, I like to think of it like he thinks he's in a radio drama. Like almost like he's familiar with the Agatha Christie stories, and he is enjoying thinking of himself as, suave and quite good at his job. But it's just the opposite. He's like really a moron, just an idiot. Yeah.
Did you go back to the Agatha Christie novels to kind of see where a lot of these jokes come from?
You know what more I looked at for research was like Leslie Nielsen and Naked Gun.
Okay, gotcha.
And also Ricky Gervais. I was going back to The Office and Extras a little bit for the accent, but also just the lack of vanity, how he's willing to make them look like a moron and just like not a good person. That's so brave as a comedian. So I'm trying to... That's one of the other things I was looking at, too.
And how tough is it? Because I knew I cracked a lot whenever I was younger. How tough is it to maintain a straight face when you're delivering some of those
John Henry
straight lines?
John Henry gets me just about every night. And there's this one moment, and I stick my tongue under my lip to try to just keep my cheekbones from curling up at the end. Hopefully in the next 3 days I'll break myself of that habit. But it's quite challenging. There are a few moments.
I always hid behind a newspaper.
I might have to get a newspaper. Yeah, I know.
Bridget, if you'll step up a little bit more in depth about your character.
Tompkins is trying to help the inspector, but the inspector is incredibly frustrating. No one respects anybody, which makes it even harder. And anytime Tompkins' name is said, it's normally said incorrectly.
Oh boy! So you're almost the comedic straight person in this case.
This is my first time being that character. I'm normally comic relief.
So what is it like now on the other side of the coin, being the straight?
Really hard not to laugh.
Really? Same difficulty as him, because it sounds like this play has a lot of great lines. I heard some banter before
Every other line is a great line.
All right, and like I asked him, what research did you do for this part?
I really like Endeavour. It's a British crime show. I also like Bones, another kind of detective.
So you really went into the detective fiction and television in that case. No, that's good. That's good research as well. All right. So now, obviously, one person missing here, and that is the director, Katrina Caden. Talk about and anybody can jump in on this. Talk about, because I know what it's like, but what is it like for you guys working with Katrina? She's been a long-time presence with the Players as well.
Oh, it's been amazing. She was the first director I worked with, so it's good to be with her again.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with her now so many times. I mean, I think I was in the first show. She was with the Players. But remember, that was Dracula. Whatever.
Wow.
Anyhow, so yeah, she and I have worked together. And we have found it interesting that we have worked together in almost every capacity you can think of in the theater. I've directed plays that she's stage managed. She's directed plays that I stage managed. We've both been on stage together, and we've been in plays the other one's directed. So we've really worked together. And indeed, the reason I'm doing this show is because she's directing it. I turned down an offer for another show that would have been a lot of fun to do, but I wanted to work with Katrina one more time.
That's a testament to her, actually, right then and there, because, and again, personal story, I've gotten the chance to work with her. Great director. She directed It's a Wonderful Life, I believe. And yeah, and I got a chance to work with her and that was a lot of fun. So let's get to the nitty gritty. When does the show open?
This Friday.
This Friday. Holy
This
moly.
Friday, May 31st at 7:30. Then it's also June 1st, that Saturday at 7:30, and then Sunday at 2:30, and then the following weekend, the 7th, 8th, and 9th, the same times.
And the admission prices? Still the same?
Yes, standard tickets are $15. Seniors and students are $12. And if you're an Indiana Players member, that's $10.
And obviously tickets are on sale at the box office night of. And if people want more information about the Players, about what's coming up down the road or anything like that, social media and website?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram and just the IndianaPlayers.com, I think, too.
Yep, you can input your email address into IndianaPlayers.com to get our bulletins. So
I'm actually kind of looking forward to this. I want to go see this after hearing this, how funny it is, after hearing what type of comedy this is going to be. So again, it's Murdered to Death, a send-up of Agatha Christie and those similar novels and mystery stories. And it is this weekend and next at the Philadelphia Street Playhouse, 700 block of Philadelphia Street. Folks, thank you very much for joining us on Indiana in the Morning to talk about this production. I can't wait. And I'll just say this, break a leg.
thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you to Megan, to John Henry, Sam, and Bridget from the cast of Murdered to Death, joining us on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Our interviews brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm, Best of Indiana County Contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. 9:24, getting close to 9:25 here on Indiana in the Morning. And in our next half hour, we have an interview with representatives of the Children's Advisory Commission of Indiana County. They're getting ready for their big event this weekend, Family Nature Palooza at Blue Spruce Park. Jake Slobodnik got the chance to interview them, and we'll have that interview coming up at our 9:40 segment this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. Coming up next is Boomer and the Sports Minute, and that's brought to you by S&T Bank People Forward Banking. A check of news headlines coming up at the bottom of the hour, and a complete check of sports with Jake as well coming up at that point as well. Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. It's now 9:25.
If everyone has lemonade stands, I think we can do it. These inspiring words were expressed by Alex Scott, the little girl who was battling childhood cancer and decided to have a lemonade stand in her own backyard to help fundraise for a cure. In honor of Alex and everyone fighting this disease, join S&T Bank June 1st through the 8th at all bank branches for Lemonade Days. Enjoy treats and activities. Help us support research, awareness, and hope for these children and families in need. Let's make people our purpose.